dear students, to the FIT session. In the last class, I had discussed uh, related to some practical session, right? Suppose few students have not understood it, or you're not comfortable in understanding the desktop of some of the application. Do not worry. We will try to find an alternative so that you will be taught practically uh, along with us. So let us wait for a little more time so that we will just sort out how we can conduct some practical sessions for you all. Okay, so we just wanted to show you all that what are the other tasks we have related to fundamentals. Other than learning these basic concepts, you are also supposed to understand how to make use of what computer applications. Okay, so once again, I'm highlighting that you will be given a schedule where you will be made to practice in the computer lab with all these applications, okay, and where you will be guided how to use the things in the computers. Okay, in today's class I'll just uh, try to highlight few or some more concepts which are related to chapter 2, that is with the components inside a computer. Okay, in this session we shall understand clearly some components details such as serial port, parallel port, okay, and the components related to the graphics, for example with the display devices, okay, and something like the which one, network interface cards, okay. So certain components we will be covering with this session. Okay, okay students, let me start my discussion with the ports. Okay, we had many times taken the serial port and parallel ports, right? So computer ports are interfaces between the peripheral devices and the computer. They are mainly found at the back of the computer but are often also built into the front of the computer chassis for easy access. So this I had shown you in my earlier session, right? The ports, okay? So what is that serial port? See, this is parallel port and these are what, serial port, okay? We'll understand what does this actually mean. Okay, see, serial port, it is of how many pin? A 9-pin port, and it is often called as computer ports, computer, COM1, COM2, etc. Okay, and mice and external modems, that is, for example, the mouse and the modems were connected to these ports. They are turquoise in color. So that is, see, this is a color, okay. See, normally if we wanted to get connected to a network, okay, some either it could be some private network we want to get connected, okay, or some local area network, okay. So in such cases we use which type of port? Serial ports, and they come up with how many pins? 9 pins. So if you just count here, 1 2 3 4 5. So here 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, 9 ports, okay, remember this. Then coming with the parallel port, how it is? It is a 25 pin port used to connect printers, scanners, external hard disk, so zip drives to the computer. See, there are, I mean, some huge peripheral devices. For example, it could be some storage devices, or it could be some output devices or input devices like scanners, which we try to scan certain hard copy, uh, which one, the sheets, datas, okay, and printers. You all are familiar with printers and scanners, I hope. Okay, nowadays scanners are also very common, and most of you might be knowing the importance of scanners. So it is actually not an output device, it is input device, because you are keeping a document, hard copy document. For example, it could be some Aadhaar card or whatever, your marks card. You can scan that and you can save it in your computers, right? Yes, so it is what, otherwise a photocopy of yours, you can scan it. So it is one of the input devices. So any huge devices like this, and external hard disk like related to some external storage devices. Suppose internal hard disk, if you want some extra memory for your computer to access with huge amount of information, then such disk and zip drives. These are all connected to the computers with the help of which port? Parallel port, and it is of how many pin? 25 pin. Okay, and burgundy in color. So this will be in such type of with such colors, and they are often called as LPT ports or LPT1, LPT2 like that. Okay, then video port, we have VGA port, DVI port. See, just understand students, in video port, it is all related to the computer display screen, monitor. It is used to connect a monitor to the computer system, and it is of two categories. One is VGA port and another one is what? DVI port. Okay, so what is this VGA port? This is a 15 pin port and is blue in color. See, this is 15 pin port and it will be normally in blue in color. It is an analog port and is being replaced by the DVI port. So nowadays this analog port is being which one replaced by such type of ports. Okay, and normally DVI port comes in which color? White color, and it is a digital port. So this means that no conversion is necessary between the computer and the monitor, and that means that images can be produced more quickly on the monitor. So this is an advancement what we find nowadays. Whatever the connectivity we find with the LED or LCD monitors and all, it is what type of ports? DVI ports, where exactly when the computer is ready to display the information to the user. Okay, normally from the processor, when it has to move to the which one? The display screen, that digital data has to be converted to analog signal. So such type of procedure is found in VGA port. Okay, whereas here no such conversions is required when you are using a digital port. It means the computer and monitor, as there is no conversion process, directly the which one? The digital data are what? Quickly recognized, or by default the conversion is handled in the monitor or in the display screen. So that is why they are telling it is more quicker than which port? VGA port. Okay, so remember this, the feature of DVI is what? It is a digital port where it is trying to avoid the necessary conversion between the computer and the monitor. It means what? The processor and the monitor to display the data information. Then PS2 port, what is it actually? See this, I think all of you are familiar with these type of connection, right? It is used to connect keyboards and mouse to the computer. The keyboard port is purple and the mouse port is green. So normally the purple one is used for to connect the keyboard, and the green color is used to connect for the mouse, or what is the term they have using? Mice. Okay. And modem port, what is this actually? It is used to connect a modem to a telephone line, that is RJ11 is a what standard name that is found for the modem port, and it is a technical term for the port. So normally they have a name, technical name for this port, and known as RJ11. So for example, the whatever the BSNL connection or whatever we tell with the internet connectivity, we are connecting to the telephone lines. So if you are connecting to the internet with such telephone lines, then this is what the modem port you are having, which will be used to connect a modem to a telephone line. So this is how the port looks, and you have such ports in your computers to get connected to the internet with the help of which ports? Modem ports. Okay, then USB port, it is what actually intended to replace serial and parallel and PS2 ports with a single standard 127. With a single standard. See here, whatever the USB drives or ports you are observing here, it is actually trying to replace which type of connection it is replacing? Serial and parallel ports. Understood? So such type of ports is replaced by which one? USB drives. Okay, and like this, with this type of ports, 127 devices can be connected to a single USB port. So that is, to one particular port you can connect how many such devices? 127. To such USB ports we can I mean, where you don't have that 25 pin, 15 pin or something, no restrictions like that. Okay, so these devices, I mean, are hot swappable. What it means, these devices can be connected and disconnected while the computer is on. So if your computer, you are working in your computer, and suddenly if you want to access certain data with some external devices, you can directly connect with the help of which port? USB port. So where USB port is nothing but, for very common example is what we use our pen drives and all, we connect, right? Yes, and any what such, while transferring the data from your computer to mobile or from mobile to computer, like when you want to transfer the data, which type of ports you will be using? USB ports. Okay, so they are telling with that single port you can connect almost 127 devices. Okay, so the main feature of this is when the computer is in usage, you can either get connected with this port or you can disconnect it any ports, even though the computer is running with some task. And there are different standards. Which are those? They are numbered like this: USB 1, 2 and 3. So the original standard, it is having the capacity of transfer data of how much capacity? 1.5 Mbps. And USB 2 is having transfer rate of about 60 Mbps. Okay, that is some increase in the transfer rate. Okay, then USB 3, it is of which one? 600 Mbps. So it is all with the requirement based, we will be going for such particular standards. Okay, so for example, for our normal usage or activity, or whatever the applications we use to copy the data and transfer it, we may not require this much speed of USB until and unless we work with such real time applications. Okay, so it is what, either USB 1 or USB 2 is a normal standard what we use. For example, in our small simple applications, okay, to transfer the data. Then Ethernet port. I hope you all have seen this. What is this Ethernet? So suppose there is a private network, okay, used to connect to a network known as RJ45, and it is larger than a modem port. So compared to modem port, which one is larger? Ethernet port, okay, and the technical name given is what? RJ45. Suppose if you assume a company or a organization where some departments are existing, some four departments are existing, and all the four departments are working on or using a one particular database of that company's database. Okay, it could be some product related to product or some employee details. Okay, and these employees, whatever, whoever are there in different departments, they are all connected to one single network, and they are sharing the resources like database of a product, or it could be some employee or any other. I mean, the department members are communicating. So the information is what within that organization, it is not flowing outside the organization. That is, it is a private network. So it is what, the Ethernet. Okay, and the if you want the computers to be connected what in within one organization, okay, we call it as, we require which type of ports? Ethernet port, where it is used to connect to a network. And you have also audio ports. For example, uh, it is used to input and output audio from the computer, and normally three mini jack ports, but there may be more. So normally you find these kind of, which one, audio ports in the computers. Okay, so to plug in with the, which one, speakers and all. Okay, and light blue color, so which connects external devices. And which one, that lime color, it connects to the speakers. Then one more pink, it is connecting to the microphone. Okay, so this is for with the external devices, speakers and microphone. So these are also found in the system case, that is with the audio ports. I hope you all are following this with various ports. Then coming to the graphics card. So in our many sample videos and all, you found a fan kind, right? Where see, processor and fan. What is that? Graphics card handles its own processing, making it almost independent of the processor. So it doesn't depend upon the, which one, the processor functionality. And you have a port connector. If you observe here in this diagram, See this part. It is what the personal computer interface, what peripheral, okay, and memory. These are that is the third one here, the memory chips. Okay, the graphics card has its own memory, and this makes it much faster. Where most new cards use which type of memory? So dual memory, okay, and DVI connector you have, that is with this particular part, digital output, where it is supplied through this port. So where we require the digital output, when from the processor, if it has to be forwarded to the monitor display screen for the user to understand the information. Okay, so the processed information has to be given to the user, right? So it is with the digital output. And VGA connector, what is this? Analog output is provided through this port. So just now I told you, with the graphics card there are two types, one is DVI and VGA. This is what the fifth one. So here in the DVI there is no such conversion is required, direct digital data is handled without any conversion, whereas in VGA what that conversion process is required. Okay, so this is how the graphic card is having all these components what handled by through it. And now if you just check some of the features of it. So the screen images are made up of dots and they are all called as pixels. So most of you are familiar with the term pixels, right? Either when you are accessing your mobile phones or when you take some pictures through your mobile and all. So you tell, normally use the term what? Pixels. What are those? Actually, it is the standard name is what? Picture elements it is. Okay, so it is nothing but the complete screen what we are viewing. It is made up of what? An array of dots. Okay, and that single dot is represented as what? The pixel. Okay, the graphics card must process each of these pixels to create the image. So whenever we are viewing any information on the display screen, so the graphics card has to analyze the complete array information. So you might be wondering, what is this array? Array is nothing but the information present row wise and column wise. Okay, so our display screen is made up of picture elements and it is arranged in what manner? Horizontally and vertically. Okay, so this is what with the which one? The meaning of processing, the card processing each of these pixels to create the image. Suppose as all of you are viewing my presentation here, you are finding some colors or whatever the text here, or I'm moving my pointer like this. If this complete information has to be viewed by all, it means the graphics card has analyzed like in which picture element, in which dot, what type of data or information has to be displayed. Okay, or it could be some color or whatever the line you are viewing. Okay, so each one of the dots at which particular position those information has to be displayed. Such definitions and all are processed by the help of which card? Graphics card. Okay, then the resolution of a screen is the number of pixels being displayed, and normally the typical or standard resolutions include the below what is being shown. Okay, so what exactly it is? All of you are familiar with the term screen resolution, right? Yes, resolution is depending on what? It is the number of elements, picture elements that is being displayed on the screen. And normally we have these standard resolution. I hope all of you are familiar with this. That is with 800 x 600, 1024 into 768, 1280 into 1024. So what are these? So row pixel elements versus what is this? Column pixel elements. It is with the rows are x-axis and column represents the y-axis. Okay, that is with the slight information with the graphic card. And there are some categories in these graphic cards like 8GB, PCI Express we call. So what is it? Accelerated graphics port. So it is actually the a very older technology and still it is available. It can output in analog or digital or both. So it can output the information in either analog or in digital form. Both are supported by this type of graphic card. And what is another, which is the other category, PCI Express. So it is a newer technology which is comparatively very faster than which one, AGP, and it allows for two graphics card to improve the performance, called scalable link interface. It can also output in analog or digital or both. So normally both of them carries the same features, but it is trying to support more than one graphic card. Okay, then these are mutually exclusive and the choice is made according to the graphic slot on the motherboard. So any either of them can be chosen, where the selection can be done with the graphic slot on the motherboard. Okay, and you have a sound card. Yes, you might have observed these ports, right? Yes, so you have the sound card to a PCI slot. Just check here, this one, and MIDI socket. It is what, with the musical instrument digital interface port, which is used to connect the musical instruments to the computer, and that is done with such type of port or socket. Okay, and audio jacks, which are used to connect certain, like it could be microphones, speakers, or some stereo systems. Okay, so if you want to connect to such type of devices, then you find what, the audio jacks. Okay, so this is with the sound card. So what are the major functionality of a sound card? It is what, it uses the digital to analog converter to prepare audio for speakers. So whenever the data has to be taken from or produced from the computer, it has to follow this type of conversion, digital to analog converter, and to use an ADC, that is analog to digital converter, to convert the audio coming into the computer. That is, ADC is nothing but when we are trying to speak or anything that has to be recorded. So our informations are through which signals, analog signals, and those information has to be converted to digital. Digitally it has to be processed. So it requires what, the analog to digital conversion. And a sound card can be connected to the following. One is, that is analog input devices like microphone, radio tape, okay, then record players, as well as headphones and speakers. Okay, and very important one is network card. So what are these actually? So these cards allow the computers, the personal computers, to get connected to some network. What is that network? That is where we want the connection, like if we want to get connected to an internet. Okay, so if it is done with the help of what, network card, where the computer can communicate with another computer, another machine. Okay, and it can be wired or wireless. This is also the feature you should remember. The standard used is called Ethernet, and it covers almost wired and wireless networks. Okay, so below, if you just observe, these are the various cards, network cards, that is used to connect the computers to the network. Okay, and we told that the network, well, when we get connected, it could be wired or wireless, right? So these wired standards include, okay, fast Ethernet, which is having the transmission speed of up to how many, 100 Mbps, and also gigabyte Ethernet you have, with where the transmission speed is up to 1000 Mbps. Okay, then the wireless standard, we should also know whether computers support wired as well as wireless, right? So wireless, to get connected, which are the different standards? See, these are the three categories. One is, we refer as what, the technical terms are B standard and G standard as well as N standard. So what is this? It is the transmission rate of this B standard is of almost 11 Mbps, and it ranges the what, the connectivity or the distance it could cover to communicate is up to 30 meters. Okay, and the G standard is what, it has a transmission rate of how much, 54 Mbps, and the range is also supported how much, 30 meters. But just check the speed of transmission of data here. That is what make G standard different with which one? The B standard. Even though the distance is same, the rate of transmitting the data is what varying. From B standard is what less and G is what comparatively more. And you have the N standard. It is what actually the transmission speed of up to 540 Mbps and the range is of how much? 50 meters. So this is the distance it would cover. Okay, so these are what some wireless standards which you are trying to get connected to the which one? Network. Okay, so this is PCI card, PC card and USB. Okay, then modem. What exactly the modem is? Internet access using a telephone line, and it converts the digital computer data to analog before transmission over the telephone line, and converts the analog data to digital before transmission to the computer. And this device gets its name from these two terms. So see, students, you have something like modulation and demodulation. What is that modulation? Whenever the computer tries to process any information, it is all in digital, right? But when it is giving back to the user, if it displays the digital data, we are unable to understand. It should be converted to the user understanding form, right? And the converts the modem actually, which is where the computer or this modem is trying the computer to connect to the network. What happens? Whatever the incoming signals are there with through that network. Okay, so what it does, it converts the which one? Analog data to digital before transmission to the computer. You assume that you are sending an email, or someone sent an email to my computer. So I am accessing that email with the help of a modem connection. Okay, I am accessing the internet information. So when that information is passing through the modem to my system, it will be in which form? Analog form, and that or in analog data, where that data will be converted to which one? Digital data, so that my computer should process, understand or display that for me on the screen, right? So that is what the demodulation, converting the analog data to digital. Okay, and similarly when I want to send a reply for that email, so I'm using my computer, and I, with the help of a modem, I got connected to the network and I sent an email. So what happens? My information is now stored in digitally in my computer, right? So that converts that digital computer data to analog. That is, it is modulating before it is transmitting over the telephone line. Did you all understand? So before it transmits that data to the with the in the telephone line, it converts that digital data to analog data. Okay, and the device gets its name from these two terms. As it is doing the process demodulation and modulation, we have a term, we have the name called as modem. Okay, then the standard transmission speed of a modem is how much? 56 kbps. Okay, so what is that kbps? Kilobits per second. So at per second, the transmission of data is how much? 56 kilo. That is 56,000 bits per second. That is a meaning. Okay. In our previous slides, you what check these things, right? This is 11. What is this? Mbps or megabits per second. So that much. What is that? That many bits per second you can send. Okay, then hard disk. Hope all of you are familiar with the term hard disk, right? So they are primary storage, which is actually what? The volatile contents lost when power is turned off. So in the hard disk, we have the primary storage, that is memory, and then the secondary storage, that is the disk drives, which are non-volatile, and it can store files up huge files when power is turned off. So even any information which you want to save, if you want to access it back when the computer is on, such type of information you are storing it in which one? Disk drives. Okay, and that is which one? The secondary storage devices, and they are permanent, they are not temporary. Okay, and in memory, voltages are used to store data as binary ones and binary zeros. So it was decided to mimic the situation for secondary storage using the magnetism instead of electrical voltages to represent the binary data. So normally in the computer, like as we told just now, when the computer is turned off, you will be losing the information, right? Yes, that is a nature of the primary memory or the random access memory, right? Yes. So the concept of this, what they used to store the, to hold the information when the computer is on, how they are doing it. The some voltages, the transfer of what the voltages or the current in the circuit of the memory. Actually, they were using voltages which actually was used to store the data as binary 1 or binary 0, and the same concept was also used to store the information, digital information, binary information in disk drive also. So that is in the secondary storage, using which type of technique called as magnetism. So instead of voltages, they tried to use the concept of magnetism to represent which information, binary ones and zeros, and this we will be discussing much more detail in the secondary storage devices, how the magnetic data or how the drives like compact disk drives, optical disk drives try to hold the which information, magnetic data. Okay, then so just check here. This is a metal disc for your understanding sake. We have shown the disc, the secondary storage devices. A metal disc or a platter we call is actually coated with which one? Some iron particles which can be magnetized to north and south to represent the binary digits 0 and 1. So this is a metal disc covered with which particles? Iron particles, so that it can be magnetized to which directions, north and south, to represent the binary informations. Okay, so as I told you all that secondary storage devices are using the magnetism concept for such cases. Which one? The iron particles, the platter which is coated with iron particles are used to implement this technique. Okay, and a read write head is used to magnetize the particles on the disk surface to represent the data held in RAM. The computer can now be switched off and a copy of the data is saved for later use. See, whatever the which one you're finding this extension, we call it as read write head, and this is what the handle or arm we call. What is this? Disk arm. What is this? ARM. Disk arm, which is trying to give the control with each platters. These are what, see, one above the other you're finding the platters, right? These are all disk drives. Okay, and the you for each platter you have a read write head. That is what the red color or whatever, I mean the arm, and at the end of the arm you are finding. So what is the help of that read write head is, so it tries to recognize in this particular platter at which position the data has to be what, written. Okay, so this head is used to magnetize the particles on the disk surface to represent the data held in RAM. So this you are having read and write head. So you, whenever you want to save any details, write any information to the disk, you are using which head? Right head. Okay, so with the help of this you're magnetizing. It means what, you're making the data stay permanent on that particular disk. Okay, this is a concept of which one, platters, using magnetic concepts. And hard disks can be either internal or external, students. Like the internal standards are IDE. See here, normally I have told you many times that now the memory, like the primary memory and secondary memory. So in our computers we will be having internal hard disk, like for example what we partition as C drive, D drive and all, right? Yes, and also normally we have some which one, minimum capacity or some according to our usage we will be having some 80 GB of capacity, uh, what hard disk, or some 40 GB, like this, right? So in case if you want more than that, you may go for which one, external hard disk, where you can connect externally to your computer to save your information. And IDE, integrated drive electronics, what is this? The disk connect to the motherboard using a ribbon cable. Each cable can hold two drives, one is master and another one is slide. See, this is what we are discussing. IDE is what the I mean internal standard it is. So this is what the design of which one, integrated drive electronics. So how the disks are connected to the motherboard here with the help of a ribbon cable. What is that ribbon cable? See here, this is what the cable, ribbon cable, and here you are having each cable like this. Each cable like this can hold how many drives? Two drives. One is master and slave. See, just check your master and slave, and it is a motherboard, okay, where it is connected to a motherboard. The drive is set as master or slave by positioning a jumper. So you're finding this device here, right? We call it as what? Jumper. What is this jumper? To switch from which one? Slave to slave. That is what master means, one who gives the instruction, and the slave is going to listen to the instructions and obeys the instruction. Okay, until and unless any instruction is received by this master, this slave doesn't try to execute anything independently. Okay, so the concept here is there are two IDE connectors and a total of 4 drivers can be connected. So whichever the driver is there, it acts as a master. Okay, so to give the instructions, like to read the data or to write the data to the disk. Then you are having SATA. So many times we have used this term, right? What is this actually? Serial Advanced Technology Attachment. So SATA cable we tell, right? What is this? The nature of this is it allows faster data transfer speed than which one? The internal or integrated drive electronics. Okay. So the capacity of moving the data, the transfer speed is what? High or efficient in this SATA cable, and there is no master slave arrangement with the SATA, and each drive has its own cable. The cables are much smaller and allow better air circulation in the system unit. So as we all know, there are many drivers in the computers, like for example, if you are having you are inputting some data through a keyboard, or if you are selecting certain data through a mouse, okay, and if you are having which one, the scanner where you are scanning a document. So there are certain respective drivers which are recognizing the data that are incoming through these input devices, right? So whenever such drivers are ready to handle the received data at their port, for example the keyboard, or it could be the mouse. Okay, so they are not waiting for any other master drive to give the instruction. They are independently managing their drive data, and they are transferring that data to the main memory so that the processor can process its task with the help of such data. Okay, so that is the advantage of what? SATA cable, where the drivers can independently manage the which one, informations that are incoming, data that are incoming through these drives. Okay, then see here in the motherboard you find the IDE connector like this, and here the SATA connectors are found like this. Fine, as I told you, if you are not uh, what convenient with the memory capacity that is supported by your internal hard disk, then we can also get connected with external hard disk with more memory capacity, and it can be IDE or SATA, and can be mains powered or host powered. So host powered drives receive their power from the USB port. See, just check here, these are host powered drives, external drives, okay, where the power supply is through the USB port, and hard disk drives are now found in which type of devices? Video recorders, digital music players, digital camcorders, digital cameras, and mobile phones. So in all such devices you find which kind of drives? Hard disk drives. Okay, and these are certain examples which are found in laptops or in your mobiles. Okay, and which one, the desktop computers. Okay, finally with the term card readers. So what is this card reader? In the initial slide or with the related video, I had shown the system case with floppy drives, right? So such floppy drives has been replaced with which one now? The card readers. They can read media cards from most digital cameras. So the feature of these card readers are they can directly recognize the digital data, and no such major conversion is required. So directly the whatever the camera has captured, what data you have with such card readers, those data can be directly copied to your which one to other devices. For example, you can computer to your computer, and you can make further editing processing with those data. Okay, the time it takes to recognize the information from such readers is very efficient. Okay, and micro drive, smart media, SD memory cards here, these are certain examples you find with the card readers. Okay, and they all are termed in these various names: memory stick. Okay, see, I hope all of you are have seen such type of memory cards, right? We call it as what? Card readers. And this is what smart media. Observe here, you are finding memory stick, smart media, a partition you are finding where SD memory card can be inserted in this part, and memory stick can be inserted here. Smart media readers can be inserted here. See the various partitions you are finding to use those readers. And XT picture card. Okay. Okay, now you have the other major system device, that is monitor, right? A computer monitor displays images generated by which one? So in our previous discussion, just now in today's session, we have made with a graphics card, right? So whatever the data that are processed by this graphic card, it is all displayed as an image, okay, in this monitor. And they are almost exclusively LCD or CRT, right? What is this? How will we say this term? Liquid crystal display and cathode ray tube, right? Okay, so these are the types or categories of displays, display monitors. Monitors come in these various classifications. Okay, and cathode ray tube monitors are what the nowadays it has become older, and we now normally use or find which one, the LCD display, right? And which one, these CRT or monitors are rare and are now as expensive as LCD monitors. So whatever the terms you are finding that is being briefed here in this chapter, you will be understanding those features, those display monitors features in your other subjects with coming semesters. Okay, so you have certain variations or some advantages in which type of monitors, like for example cathode ray tube, it make I mean the technique that it is using to display the information is completely different when you compared with the LCD monitors. Okay, so in terms of expense also, which one, even though the LCD monitors are expensive compared to CRT, the resolution that is supported, the what the colors or whatever the resolution you find with such type of display is comparatively higher than the cathode ray tube. Okay, so this is what with the display devices in the components of computers. So with this discussion, we have finished with the chapter 2 with the components inside a computer. And anything you didn't understood with some of the terms like what we have used or discussed with the ports and all, try to put your doubts and see that you understand the concepts properly, so that we can discuss more such new topics in our coming chapters. Okay, so by this today I'll be ending my session. Meet you all soon in the next session with a new topic. Thank you all.